brand new fiberglass boat. No, it wasn't fiberglass.
It was wooden, yeah.
It was wooden. It was built in Abercrombie. I get one of the regular sailors to give you the proper name in Germany. And it was beautiful. It was all wood. And all I could think of was this storm came, this gigantic hand reaching down, picking up the boat and dropping it from about 25 feet in the air.
Wow.
And I wondered why it didn't go pow and all these pieces of wood go splintering in every direction. That's one of the few times in my life on the water I have been frightened out of my life. Frightened to death.
Whose boat was that?
See, now this is why I don't want to do it. Because I have to stop and think. His name. He always made me think of the Calvert advertisements for the man of distinction. He looked very distinguished and had a nice head of white hair and a white mustache.
It wasn't Henry Villard.
No, he was an entirely different character. It'll come to me once in a while.
So what was she? She was a 60-foot. She was 60 foot, right?
Yeah.
Was it a sloop?
67 foot.
67 foot. Was she a sloop?
Yeah, I think it had the main mast and the jib. I don't remember an aft sail. I would have to see pictures of it again. That's 1964, about that. That's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago. So I remember you telling me you were coming back and it was coming down, and weren't you down below?
Yes, they made everybody go down below because the waves were washing over the boat. And all the crew had been ashore in Bermuda, and you can buy alcoholic beverages for almost a third of the price, the expensive ones that you pay in the States. So everybody brought all this alcohol and had it in cardboard cartons down below the bunks, down below where. And then somebody said, the stuffing box was leaking a river.
Oh,
now,
right.
I didn't know what a stuffing box was, but for something to be leaking a river as this storm was coming, I was plenty scared. And then the waves began to lift the boat up and dump it down, and the water leaked into the lower part of the boat before they figured out how to stop it. And the water sloshed around all these cardboard cartons.
Uh-oh.
Who melted, which fell apart, and then this gigantic hand out of hell from heaven reached down and grabbed the boat and held it in the air and dropped it. All the bottles with all this alcohol crashed together, and we were having a gorgeous cocktail party, inhaling it.
Inhaling it, uh-oh.
And if you weren't sick before, you were sick then. There was all kinds of mixtures.
I don't remember that. Didn't you say the floorboards, you could see them moving?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought when it was
that.
hitting.
No.
Oh, all right.
No.
That must have been pretty harrowing.
Yes, and we blew the sails out, and Mr. Verney, it was Gilbert Verney, he used to be he thought it was very funny. He'd let the fellows who were crew members use his boat when it was in the harbor, and he'd be up in the hotel with all his guests. And the various crew members would bring a girl from Bermuda down to the boat and show them their yacht.
Oh, right,
and
right.
Mr. Verney didn't object to that. He thought that was a good joke. It was funny.
Right.
So they'd go into the navigation table and they'd say, well, this is the radio direction finder, and this is what we do, and this is what we do, and they'd fiddle this and push on that and show all these girls what marvelous instruments they had. And Ernie didn't find out till we had left the dock to leave to go home that they weren't working right because they had been fooled with.
Oh, no.
Yeah, when we got there and he was in charge of it all, everything was working all right, so he didn't think any necessary to go and check it all out before we took off. So after we took off, then we found out. And when we got in the storm, he had told me it wasn't working. He didn't tell the others. Maybe he told the other fellow he shared the responsibility with, but he didn't tell all the women. There were 6 women, I think, and 5 men on the trip.
Wow. That's a lot of women.
Well, the owner's wife came and the daughter came, and two other wives of the crew members came.
Right.
I was one. So, and the women don't race at all, but they like to sail. And the sail back home is usually pretty leisurely.
Right.
And the notices weren't too good about the weather, and we didn't know anything bad was coming. And because there's a whole group of boats going at the same time, I'm not sure we have a Coast Guard escort going back. We do go in the race, and that's why a lot of people go in the race that have no intention of winning. They just want to go with the escort and all the other boats, so that if they get in trouble, there's
somebody
help.
there. Right. That makes sense.
It's
So did you make it back with all the troubles with the instruments?
Yes, but I worried plenty. I could see when I got scared in the storm and knew how bad it was. I could see me floating around in a life jacket, and you couldn't even call the Coast Guard to come around and pick you up. Nobody knew exactly when we left, and they didn't know exactly when we were supposed to get back, so we wouldn't be looked for a couple of days, so we could be floating around in the Atlantic with just a life jacket.
It's a good thing you had Grandpa on board, I guess.
Yeah. They had, as the sails were blowing out, the ropes to the sails were steel. They weren't ropes.
They were cables.
They were cable. So when the jib blew out, the cable broke away. Well, it left the cable whipping around on top of the deck.
Right.
And it was very, very dangerous. It was very high speed, and we're laying over. And they yelled, "All hands on deck." And Ernie, who was in bed with just his BVDs and nothing on his feet, came running out on deck without even his topsiders on. And then I hear all kinds of noises and this whipping around, and then I hear somebody coming down the stairs, and I say, "Is that you? Is that you?" And finally, Ernie says, "Yes, it's me." And I said, "Thank God." I could see them being thrown overboard. There's no way you could turn around in a storm and pick anybody up in that kind of weather. I mean, you don't even have a life jacket on. That was the end.
Right.
So it was dangerous.
Absolutely. Quite the trip.
And I was sick as a dog, and I hung over the rail for till we got into Providence. And I was so hung over the rail, I couldn't stand up straight for 2 days.
Oh.
It was
Not so much fun.
No, and I haven't been out in a boat in the Gulf Stream since. I fly over.